Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me here. I flew here from San Francisco, which is very different from Madrid. So when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk to you about today, I decided to pick a topic that was something we could all relate with. And one topic that we can all relate with is conventional wisdom. No matter if your organization is based in San Francisco or in Madrid, no matter if your organization is a startup or a publicly traded entity, many of the decisions that we make on a daily basis are based on conventional wisdom. Conventional wisdom that we don't question, that we take for granted. So today, I wanted to talk about questioning conventional wisdom. And I wanted to do this from the perspective of Instacart. So let me tell you a little bit about Instacart. I started this company 1 year ago with a single problem to solve. It's 2013, and we order everything online, from books to big screen TVs. And we get them delivered to our door. But we just cannot order groceries online. So we set out to make grocery delivery as simple as a click of a button. And that's where Instacart started. On Instacart, customers can order their groceries from anywhere, from their homes in front of their computer to their smartphones when they're on the go. Customers can order groceries from all the stores in their cities, and you can mix and match items from different stores. And best of all, you can get your groceries delivered to your door in just 1 hour. Now, many of you are probably thinking, grocery delivery is not a new problem. What's different? What's new about this? And the answer to that, and the reason why Instacart is extremely disruptive, is because we don't have any physical infrastructure. We have not built any warehouses. We don't have any fleet of trucks that we have bought or leased. And we don't hold any inventory. We have made grocery delivery possible with just software. And the way we've been able to do that is by leveraging mobile-based crowdsourcing. This has allowed us to operate at extremely low fixed cost, get started with very low capital expenditure, and it has allowed us to expand to new cities extremely quickly. So as soon as you place an order on Instacart, it is sent to our fulfillment engine. Our fulfillment engine decides what is the most optimal way to get that order to your door. In doing so, it combines your order with other orders in the system. The other orders could be in the same neighborhood or due around the same time as your order. This fulfillment engine then assigns this to one of the hundreds of crowdsourced Instacart shoppers in your city. These shoppers are the ones who pick the items from the grocery stores and deliver them to their door. Now, anyone with a car and a smartphone can become an Instacart shopper. We put Instacart shoppers through a background check to make sure that they have a good criminal record. We put them through a driving record check to make sure that they're safe drivers. Then after that, they go through a training program, which includes things like how to pick up good fruits and vegetables, how to handle meats and eggs. This allows us to keep the quality bar extremely high. After they go through this training program, we equip them with an Instacart shopper app. This app is what the shoppers use to pick the items from the stores and deliver them to their door. And this app is extremely intelligent. It knows exactly where the items are located within the store. It knows the aisles, the departments, and the shelf. So the shoppers are navigated within the store as well as outside the store as they pick the items and deliver them to the customers. So now that you have the context about Instacart, I'd like to talk about 3 pieces of conventional wisdom that just did not work for us. First off, there is move fast and break things. This has sort of become a rallying cry in the Silicon Valley and the startup ecosystem in general. In fact, there are posters of this all over Facebook. There are even t-shirts and pins that you can buy with this written on them. And the idea behind this is if you're not breaking things, chances are you're not moving fast enough. Companies are able to iterate on their products a lot faster as a result of this approach, with the premise that the subsequent iterations are going to yield a better solution. There is no investor or entrepreneur out there who's going to advise against this approach. If it's worked for Facebook, it must work for you. For us, it just did not work. We realized that when a customer is ordering 30 items worth of groceries, and if just one of those items is out of stock in the store, that could have a disastrous impact on the customer. That one ingredient could be the key item in a recipe that the customer is trying to prepare. And if that one item is missing, the customer's experience with Instacart is ruined. So we realized that the cost of error for us is extremely high. For Facebook, if the like button is down momentarily, it's not the end of the world. But for us, an error of a similar magnitude could have a disastrous impact on the customer. As a result, we've had to build systems in place that ensure that errors like that just do not happen. One such feature is called replacements. This allows customers to pick replacement items in case their ordered items are out of stock. This guarantees that the customer is going to be able to get their items, and in case something's out of stock, they'll get a replacement which they have chosen well in advance. The second piece of conventional wisdom that just did not work for us was under-promise and over-deliver. This has become an ultimate offering for customer service. There's nothing better you can do to gain customer loyalty, to increase word-of-mouth marketing, and just have a great experience on your platform than under-promise and over-deliver. This is so much the case that Zappos.com has been doing this for several years. If you order your shoes on Zappos for 2 to 5 day delivery, there's a high likelihood that you'll get your shoes the next day because Zappos will expedite that for you. It has created a brand for them. It has increased customer retention. And people talk about it with their friends. We thought this would be a great idea for us as well. But it just did not work. We realized that customers were planning their lives around groceries. Customers were ordering their groceries while they were at work to be delivered to their door when they were at home. So if we had expedited their deliveries and sent it to their door right away, there was a high likelihood that it would get there before they were even there. That was just unacceptable. And so not only did we have to stop expediting deliveries, but we had to ensure that we were at the customer's door at the time that we promised them, not before, not after. We learned that being early in our business is just as bad as being late. And so we built a fulfillment engine that leveraged machine learning to be able to calculate and predict exactly when we're going to be at the customer's door. We use signals such as the weather, such as the traffic patterns, such as the time of the day and the day of the week. We used the fact that there's a soccer game in your neighborhood. And all those signals allow us to ensure that we're at your door when we promised you, not before, not after. The final piece of conventional wisdom, and possibly the most important one that just did not work for us, is learn from the past. There's a famous quote which says, "Only a fool learns from his mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others." Generally speaking, this is great advice. Learn from the mistakes that have been made in the past and don't make them yourself. And when we talk about mistakes in the technology world, there isn't a single company that can match the scale of a mistake as Webvan. This was a company that was founded in the heyday of the dot-com era with the premise of grocery delivery. Over its lifespan, it raised over $2 billion in venture capital. It used that venture capital money to build humongous warehouses, to buy a fleet of trucks, to hold thousands of items of inventory in their warehouses, and expand to 10 cities in the United States extremely quickly. But in spite of the infrastructure investment, in spite of the national expansion, by 2001, the company had to file for bankruptcy. They had to liquidate all their assets and lay off all the people. So, when I was starting Instacart, one question that kept coming back up over and over again was, Webvan did grocery delivery. How is Instacart different? Critics would say that I was not learning from the past and history was repeating itself. There is actually an incident where I was pitching a venture capitalist in a meeting when suddenly he stood up and left the meeting. And then he came back with a floppy disk in his hand. And this floppy disk contained the original business plan of Webvan. The investor asked me to go home and study this. I didn't really know how to use a floppy disk, so I never actually opened it. But in retrospect, that was the best thing that could have ever happened. If I had learned from the past, if I had stuck to the conventional wisdom, Instacart would never have started. But I knew that this was the first time in history when a company like Instacart is possible. For the first time in history, there is so much penetration of smartphones out there that mobile-powered crowdsourcing is actually possible. For the first time in history, the e-commerce behavior exists in customers so that grocery buying online is actually possible. And as a result of this, Instacart is flourishing. We've only been around for 1 year. We're doing more than tens of millions of dollars in revenue every year. 1.1% of the households in San Francisco now use Instacart to get their groceries delivered regularly. We're growing at over 35% month over month in terms of our revenue, and we're spending $0 of that in marketing. We recently launched Chicago, our first city outside of the Bay Area, and it is already the fastest growing city for us in our history. By the end of 2014, we want to launch 10 cities in the United States. So I'd like to conclude by saying that there's a lot of conventional wisdom out there, built up over time and built through all the learnings from all the companies. And this may be fully applicable to most of the companies out there. But before it's applied to your organization, I highly recommend that you question it, because it could be absolutely fatal for your success. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Apoorva. Antes de empezar con alguna cuestión por la que vais pensando, I have a question for you. It's an obvious question.
Sure.
Why only groceries? Why don't you expand Instacart to other verticals?
Yeah, so we want to make sure that we're extremely focused. There are lots of features that we've had to develop that are specific to groceries. The nutritional information for items, the replacements for items. But just like how Amazon started with books, and now you can get anything delivered on Amazon, we're starting with groceries. But once we have the fulfillment infrastructure built, we can do every other vertical in the world.
Okay. ¿Alguna pregunta? No sé si tenéis alguna cuestión que preguntar a Apoorva. No veo ninguna mano levantada, como si. Mira, sí, por ahí hay una. Y aquí veo otra.
Hola. Hello. I have one question for you. You said you invest zero in marketing. So how people know about Instacart?
So the question is, how do people find out about Instacart? The answer to that is, what we're providing to the customers is so novel that inherently people talk about this. To not have to go to a grocery store for a mom with 2 kids is a big deal. They save hours of their lives, and the hours of convenience is added to their lives. And that's what they talk about with their friends. All our growth has been organic and completely with word of mouth.
Good morning. The logistics, how it works? In the case of the law in Spain, you need to have a certain infrastructure that the infrastructure have to be called in order to deliver groceries. How it works in the law in the States?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Well, the question is more related to infrastructure. You said that you use cars, any kind of cars, but you don't say that you need a minimum infrastructure. Let's say it here, if in case you deliver the groceries, you need to have like a call infrastructure. I mean, like, you know what I mean?
Right, so the question is there any infrastructure that's specifically required for groceries to transport perishable goods? And the answer to that is, what we're facilitating is a connection between you as a customer to a shopper in your area. And what they're doing is they're going to the store, picking up the groceries, and bringing them to your door. So it's not any different than you doing that yourself in your own car. So we don't really need any sort of infrastructure, any cold storage infrastructure, or any specific models that require storing perishable inventory for longer than, I would say, about an hour. So Until now, we haven't had any issues with that.
That
Hi.
means that you're using a gap in the law in the States.
Sorry? Say that again, please.
Well, there will be like a sort of a gap in American law.
Is there a gap in...
Well, in this case, for example, in Spain's law, you really have to have it. Otherwise, you cannot do it.
Well, I'm actually not sure about the Spanish law, but if you're able to bring your groceries from the grocery store to your home, that's literally what we're facilitating for someone else to bring the groceries from the grocery store to your home. So I would have to study the Spanish law here, but the American law has nothing about this.
Good morning. I have two questions, if you don't mind. The first one is that nowadays a lot of big chain supermarkets, they are starting to offer online shopping. And what this is happening in Spain, I'm sure it's happening even faster in the US. So how are you different from buying from an online supermarket? Of course, I guess the first one is the quick delivery, right? So 1 hour. But I think over time, the supermarkets, they will learn that if this is very important for the consumer, they're gonna start offering this as well. So how you gonna stand out why customers should choose you, third party, with I guess some fees, rather than buying directly from the supermarket?
That's a great question. So the question is, how is it different from other supermarkets who are offering the delivery from their stores? And we thought this would be a big problem for us as well. So there are three major differences between us and sort of the supermarkets. One, like you mentioned, is the ability to get deliveries within 1 hour in the same day. There are lots of companies there are lots of supermarkets that offer their same delivery as well. But what they use is the warehouse and a fleet of trucks model, which is just not agile enough to provide the 1 hour and the 2 hour delivery option that we do. Just if you can imagine, a truck leaving to deliver your groceries just for yourself would just not be economically feasible. And that's why there are companies like Amazon Fresh and Safeway.com that have existed specifically in our markets. For specific to Safeway.com, they've existed for several years, and already we're doing more deliveries than they are for Safeway itself. The second major difference is the ability to order from several stores at once. What we have found is that some customers want the national brands from one store, while the produce, the fruits and vegetables from another store, the meats from another store. They can do all that, do all those shopping in one session versus going through 3 different portals, which may not even exist for the companies. And finally, one of the major advantages of Instacart is our ability to expand to newer markets extremely quickly. Because we don't need to build any warehouses, because we don't have any fleet of trucks or hold any inventory, we can go to newer cities much faster than a lot of those stores can.
Thanks. My second question is, your business model relies a lot on, let's call them freelancers or people that, that they work for you on a crowdsourcing basis. So of course this helps reduce the cost, but then how do you keep the quality high? So how do you keep these people committed to your company, and how do you keep these people long-term without a high rotation?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So the question is, how do you ensure that the quality of the deliveries is very high? So in addition to the training program that I talked about that we provide to our independent contractors, we also make sure that every single delivery is rated. The customer rates the delivery for the quality of the fruits and vegetables that were picked, the quality of all the items being in their order, and how they were even packed and delivered to their door. As soon as we get a bad rating for the shoppers, they're automatically given feedback for that. And over time, if that bad rating continues, they are given less and less deliveries.
Creo que había alguna pregunta por este lado. Sí, por aquí.
Yes, got one question. I'm here.
Over
Sorry.
there.
Just here. One question about how you get incomes. I imagine is you have to pay some kind of P&P or pay for package and packing, or how do you get your incomes? Because we know that one of the biggest barrier to buy online is actually the P&P. So how do you get your incomes, and is that by actually adding some extra cost of the service that you provide?
So by P&P, you mean delivery fees?
Yes.
Yep. So the way we have found that works the best for us is that we have low delivery fees, but there's a markup on individual items. That has allowed us to get more and more customers to be hooked on the service, and for the promise of convenience and getting the deliveries to their door as soon as possible. And we've found that that's really worked for us.
Tenemos para una pregunta más por aquí, sí. Había una más por aquí, ¿no? ¿Alguien está levantando la mano? Sí, vale. La última.
I have just two final questions. Probably the first one is, since you were working with Amazon as an engineer, how long did you take to convince the investment to go with you? I mean, since you present the project up to the time that you got the funds, are we talking about 2 months, 3 months, 6 months?
We have so far raised 2 rounds of financings. So the first one was about 1 month. The second one, so the first one was about $2.3 million, and the second one was $8.5 million, which took us 2 weeks. So there, I mean, it really is because of the growth that we're seeing. And we want to continue to grow this fast, and so that's why we raised the capital.
Is the same investment that you got on the Valley in California the same one who is going to be helping you in Chicago, or is another one? I'm saying that because if you are considering continuing expansion, probably it's based on a profit that is coming to the company and also to the investment. But if you are thinking to go internationally out of the US, perhaps the challenges are going to be different. It's not the same going to Brazil or to India than working with UPS or FedEx in the US. So perhaps the hour that you are talking for groceries is not possible in Brazil, or it's not possible in India, or it's not possible in Bahamas.
Absolutely. Right now, our focus is on national expansion in the United States. So this investment round is going to allow us to capture the rest of the United States. When we think about international expansion to countries like Brazil and countries in Europe, it will make sense for us to find partners who are based outside the United States, who have expertise in those areas.
The last question is, you're saying that the customers of your company are willing to pay a little extra money to not to leave their houses to receive their groceries. But you have to understand that in other countries where there is a big crisis going on, I think people is looking sometimes in another different way. What's the best way to reduce the shopping cart in terms of money spent in the grocery store? How you can challenge that in your business plan? Thank you.
Yeah, so that's a great question. How do you use the economics that worked in San Francisco and Chicago to be expanded to the rest of the world? And the fact is that while the customers may not be willing to pay that much of a premium, that's okay because the labor is also cheaper. So the amount that we pay off to the independent contractors is also lower. So for us, it actually won't make much of a difference.
Perdonad, voy a una última pregunta que está por aquí. Disculpad que ya no tenemos mucho más tiempo. Ya sé que he dicho que había que interactuar, pero no esperaba tener este problema en la primera charla, sinceramente.
The shoppers are employees or they are freelance?
We call them independent contractors in the United States, but I think they're called freelancers in Europe.
And they're paid on completely variable basis, or they have a fix?
They're
income?
paid by commission by the number of items that they picked in the grocery store, as well as the number of deliveries they made after that.
And who pays the contractors, you or the person that actually, for whom they're buying and to whom they're delivering?
The funds are transferred to us, through us.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming, Apoorva. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
And good luck.
A little bit about Instacart. I started this company 1 year ago with a single problem to solve. It's 2013, and we order everything online, from books to big screen TVs. And we get them delivered to our door. But we just cannot order groceries online. So we set out to make grocery delivery as simple as a click of a button. And that's where Instacart started. On Instacart, customers can order their groceries from anywhere, from their homes in front of their computer to their smartphones when they're on the go. Customers can order groceries from all the stores in their cities, and you can mix and match items from different stores. And best of all, you can get your groceries delivered to your door in just 1 hour. Now, many of you are probably thinking, grocery delivery is not a new problem. What's different? What's new about this? And the answer to that, and the reason why Instacart is extremely disruptive, is because we don't have any physical infrastructure. We have not built any warehouses. We don't have any fleet of trucks that we have bought or leased. And we don't hold any inventory. We have made grocery delivery possible with just software. And the way we've been able to do that Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me here. I flew here from San Francisco, which is very different from Madrid. So when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk to you about today, I decided to pick a topic that was something we could all relate with. And one topic that we can all relate with is conventional wisdom. No matter if your organization is based in San Francisco or in Madrid, no matter if your organization is a startup or a publicly traded entity, many of the decisions that we make on a daily basis are based on conventional wisdom. Conventional wisdom that we don't question, that we take for granted. So today, I wanted to talk about questioning conventional wisdom. And I wanted to do this from the perspective of Instacart. So let me tell you